laner that they really want to take care of, and Benji, and then Luminosity over here. It's really about that dual lane.
Honestly, the whole iconic dual lane between Jeff Hill and Barracuda, you can never just stop talking about them because they are who we thought they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly. They just do everything the correct way together.
It's a long time in the making. Not even a long time in the making. It's a long time. It's already been made. It's already there. Jeff Hinla and Barracuda have just been a force of nature for a long time in that duo lane, and they continue to be so. eUNITED here they opt to ban out Terra, the Bologna, the very meta ban coming out from Luminosity here, and the second ban coming out from LG should likely be in a similar vein, looking towards the meta. Luminosity tend to really fight against that.
It just seems that Luminosity don't really care about picking the Bologna for Scary D to start things off. It seems not even the Osiris either, so probably going to be a more passive soul laner for Scary D. He's had a great showing in the Amaterasu when he has gotten to that late game form to be able to make these rotations, so I'm not expecting anything differently out of him.
Right, exactly, and as I said, teams are balanced differently, and I don't mean to take a shot towards Scary D, but I think most would agree that eUNITED solo lane is perhaps a little bit stronger than Luminosity's. So by taking out the standard meta selections in that solo lane, it allows Luminosity some wiggle room over there on the short side, allowing LG to really put pressure on the other side of the map and focus on their strengths instead of the enemies.
Benji's definitely going to have to make a comeback here because in his last set against Noble, he died several times to Aquarius, trying to really find his way back into the game here, but against Luminosity, probably will be against the Raven, unless that's going to be for Mass.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of ambiguity here for LG with the Raven selection. It can go in either player's hands, and we'll see which direction they go in. And in fact, I'm sure in LG's mind, they're still up on the air, not sure where to place him, and we'll see where it goes as the draft continues. eUNITED on the right side with their second selection. They go with Fafnir, and they're going to pair that up with somebody. I'm very curious to see if they're just going to strip the dual lane right away, or if they're going to go in a different direction.
eUNITED, whether it's Pain de Beyond or Polar Bear Mike, they don't really care about certain strategies. They want to stick to their identity of what works for them, right? Sure. And that's the whole objective control. Fafnir provides you that between the Draconic form, the AoE Coerce, not to mention you can even go for that Shogun's Kusari in that mid to late game. And with the Soul here, we see a Soul and another traditional physical hunter, then we can clearly see that eUNITED is focusing on those objectives.
So exactly what I was going to say, pairing very well with the Fafnir and a traditional hunter. Other side, Luminosity goes for the new support, the Ganesh, and the standard mid laner, Thoth. Just a lot of action coming here in the mid lane specifically.
It seems that Baskin has found a lot of comfort in the Thoth. When he first started playing that mid role, he liked a lot of Poseidon. It was just Poseidon non-stop all over the place. But now he's been making this nice little transition here to this god, and honestly, it's been working out for him.
Yeah, it absolutely has. We've seen a lot of success come out from the mid lane, whether it be by damage or setup. But eUNITED have a little bit of both in their jungle selection for Susano, character that really allows Verizial to try and run the game, something that he is capable of doing. So eUNITED nicely set up right now for that early and mid game for sure.
And it's also going to help him catch up to Thoth if he's ever just being able to dash away. As long as you can catch him right before the dash at Thoth, you find the jet stream and then you're able to teleport to him after the dash. You just have to wait out that stun duration because you definitely don't want to get hit by that in the late game.
Look at this, Luminosity paying so much attention to Benji over there in that solo lane. Bologna, Osiris, and Hercules. Bologna, Osiris being more the meta selections, Hercules being something that Benji specifically really enjoys playing, whilst eUNITED on the other side paying attention specifically to the dual lane, Terra, Houyi, Cardinals all banned out, and a shouts to Mask on the Nemesis.
I like the bans of the Bologna, Osiris, but to go any further against Benji, keep in mind he has the Hades, he has the Guan Yu that he's played before in the past to great success. Despite my having a losing matchup, he finds ways to get back into it and sway it in his advantage.
Even still, I think it is something to note that Luminosity, all 4 bans in that direction. This is the problem. Amaterasu is, in my opinion, Benji's best god.
Honestly, it's probably the best solo lane god in teamfights in general. Yeah. Once you make that level 14 mark, you start to rotating. The presence has truly been felt before in the past from a lot of teammates, and I think like Luminosity just might have forgotten about this god, because sure, Vamana and Hercules does provide a lot of good late game damage, but Amaterasu, that mobility is just insane.
I would like to see the Amy ban and then allow him to pick the Vamana. Vamana also one of Benji's favorite characters. Like you said, kind of awkward trying to ban out a solo laner with a god pool like Benji's, which is very large, but the Amaterasu will be selection, and I think Luminosity, with all of the attention paid to the solo lane, still don't wind up liking that matchup. Now is their selection. We'll see if that Robin is going to wind up in the short side or if he's a jungler.
Medusa locked in here for Barracuda with Ganesh for Jeff Hinla. A great little dual lane matchup here. It's going to be providing him a lot of extra physical power once Ganesh just uses that lane clear.
Really curious to see what Luminosity are opting for. A lot of conversation here as well. They dive into their bank time, and it'll be the Camazotz, likely to be Camazotz jungle Robin in that solo lane, allowing Scary D to have that tanky selection against Amaterasu. Early game bully versus Amy, who has to kind of wait till level 8, level 9 to clear.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, if it is still going to be Camazotz as well, because he could also be that lane bully to be able to poke from a distance.
My question is really, does Scary D have the Camazotz in his wheelhouse? A lot of what we've seen out of Luminosity solo laner has been very traditional, and playing the assassins in that solo lane, a little bit of a move away from the norm. So I'm not sure. I won't say it's not a thing, but I'm just not sure. We haven't seen that style out of Scary D just yet. eUNITED coming down to their last selection here. We'll lock in the Scotty, so we will have that duo basic attack character with Fafnir, allowing eUNITED to really focus on the objectives. LG versus eUNITED. Let's get to it.
I love this Scotty pick for Panicat. Not only does he not have attack speed and relying on PBM for the coerces and maybe a Shogun's Kusari, but on top of that, there's not too much CC and control on the side of Luminosity if you take out Jeff Hinla from the equation.
There's the power of that early game Robin, finding the route onto Polar Bear Mike, who very quickly pops the bracer of undoing to get his HP back. Mask, however, he's going to be poked out all the way down. No bracer on his side. He started beads, so this Camazotz will be in trouble early on.
We've been seeing a lot of these teams just starting to group up at level 1, trying to make sure that there's not going to be any sort of level 1 shenanigans in the solo lane side of things. We saw in the last set just Kiki making these obnoxious rotations, but if teams just started to group up like this before the lanes spawn, then you can start trickle back into your lanes and start off the way you really want.
Yeah, I keep bringing up the European approach that we saw last weekend, Soli, was where we just saw 5 players sort of create this line as if they're, search and rescue squad marching up the map, making sure nobody's out of position, and that really deterred a lot of the invade. I like that approach. Luminosity and eUNITED taking a little bit more aggressive stance, trying to say, listen, we'll fight fire with fire. Instead of deterring that aggression, they'll bring the aggression themselves.
4 Bombas masks on the side of eUNITED, 2 on Luminosity. We could really see that eUNITED want to be able to burn these jungle camps just so quickly. Now, investing 500 gold here on these 4 players will set them back a little bit in the mid game, but if they keep controlling all these mid harpies, oracles, and fire giant elementals, at the end of the day, that 2,000 gold investment will add up by stripping it away from Luminosity.
Bumpin's Mask's so efficient right now. When you sell, you buy it for 500 like you said. Baskin in a little bit of trouble, gets pulled in. Aegis's out the damage from Chaos. That was absolutely going to be first blood. Quick fingers by the mid lane Baskin.
Baskin surprisingly just not allowing the wave to enter his tower. Sometimes you just got to take the gold loss from the melee minions, clear out the archers when you know your jungler is doing the back harpies instead.
One of the nice things about Mask's selection about the Camazotz Totally is all of that poke that happened early on quickly negated. Now he's able to heal up by going back to the base, of course, but Camazotz with a lot of innate sustain, so that should help him as it goes further should he get poked out again.
Just not really wanting to start anything quite yet in the solo lane. As Varisial shows his face around the corner, but he can easily wrap around and do a little loop-de-loop here. Before Robin hits level 5, he's a relatively easy target to kill if you catch him outside of his tower.
Right, there's no escape. He has to flip kick, but no real jump. There's a great pull coming out from Varisial. Scaredy in trouble. Half HP, make that 0. Benji serves up the kill off the assist from the jungler. Fantastic play out of the 2 right side players players from eUNITED.
And this is going to be very troublesome for Scary D, because now Amaterasu, a goddess that struggles in the early game, getting first blood, hits level 5 first. So that means Benji's going to hit that level 6, 7, 8, 9 marker first over Scary D. It's just going to be able to start being the lane bully instead.
And that kill spills over into the jungle, allowing eUNITED to go ahead and grab the neutral camp that is the Gremlins by the Fire Giant. So very nicely timed initiation coming out from eUNITED as well. Not just getting the 500 gold for that, but also getting the jungle as well.
I like the fact that Mask has still stuck around in the solo lane, the fact that Benji hasn't back to base quite yet, and the fact that his ultimate is on cooldown means that it's pretty easy to apply pressure onto the Amaterasu and allow Scary D a slightly more breathing room to get back into it.
So right here, as we take a look at the solo lane matchup, we keep talking about how Robin generally has the upper hand, but even with that first blood, I don't think Benji is going to put himself in a position of winning this lane outright.
Well, he did back to base and finishing off that warrior tabby for the teleport because of that first blood, whereas Scary D, he backed with only tier 2 boots. That's a big difference in physical power specifically, 30 to be specific. And not only that, the mobility here, not only does Amaterasu just out position a Robin because of that aura, but now you just have tier 3 versus tier 2 boots.
Benji dealing some damage, but it's going to be answered by Mask's rotation into the solo lane. Couple of basics and a nice ability shooting out. Allows Mask to just send eUNITED back on the tower.
Definitely seems that Luminosity are prepared for Virizial's transgressions in that solo lane. Mask just making sure that Scary D doesn't fall further behind than he already is, applying more pressure on the right. On the left-hand side has been a pretty quiet farming fest between these two dual laners.
Yeah, you can see the big difference. Look at about 400 difference of net worth for Benji and his opposing solo laner. So Scary D certainly down, but a little bit of help from Mask should even the score just a little bit. And that's what Mask is doing here, making sure that his jungler, his solo laner can secure the blue buff, and Scary D won't be getting those anytime soon, I don't think.
But it's not something that is an ideal situation for a jungler in general, unless you're finding kills in the solo lane, honestly, because you want to be applying pressure where in your mid or your dual lane to let them start carrying the game in the mid game.
Love the bait coming out from Benji, although Scary D didn't take it all the way. Nice pull. There's the ultimate as well. Scary D falls down. That's 2 kills for eUNITED, 2 kills for Benji off of 2 assists from his jungler. Shouts to Virizial.
Despite these 2 defensive awards coming from Luminosity right above their speed buff, it needs to be positioned a little bit higher to see where Virizial is, because as Susanoo, he's fast enough already, but you put a speed buff on top of him, you're not going to be able to survive.
You know, it's interesting. eUNITED sort of set up a bait there where Benji's like, all right, I will take this fight, I will lose this fight. Scary D didn't commit all the way, but just a little bit. That's all eUNITED needed to really make that gank count.
And between the Typhoon and the ultimate from Amaterasu, it's just so easy to lock down any solo laner, despite even a Robin that has the overhead kick, that has that Mystic Rush for the gap closer and the damage mitigation. Before he gets these physical protections online, this Robin on Scary D is just going to get punished every single time.
Yeah, and it's going to be troublesome for Luminosity if they really need that Robin rotating towards the mid game. Well, they will need that Robin rotating towards the mid game, and that should be an issue if he's going to be down.
And honestly, Benji put himself in a position where, all right, he's going to be playing a passive god in the solo lane to start things off, but he's willing to take that loss, where Scary D is prioritizing this Robin pick so early in the draft. They first picked this Robin, and it's already having 2 deaths.
Yeah, I mean, Luminosity, this was their problem last year, was the fact that Scary D just wasn't up to snuff with the rest of the Luminosity crew. And then we saw Super Regionals come through and Worlds a little bit. And Luminosity, oh, all right, you know what, Scary D put out a good performance. Since then, however, Toli, I don't think we've seen the same Scary D.
He needs to go back to his Amaterasu, if I recall correctly. Just the way he played it at Super Regionals and at Worlds was so impressive here. And Benji has been making the plays happen alongside his jungler here. It could easily turn into Luminosity's favor if they're the ones to be able to aggress first with those gods instead.
That's a big if, unfortunately. Only 7 minutes in, already down 1,000 gold. Can Luminosity find the initiation? I mean, sure, they're not out of it by any stretch of the imagination, but will that actually happen is a different story, because Verizial is initiating every single time.
Just no escape here. The bat out of hell, trying to find chaos, but the Disapparate will keep him alive. Jeffilla is going to arm into safety of that tier 1 tower, but everyone from eUNITED really just grouping up together. We even saw Panicat making the half rotation in case things popped off in mid.
Right, he's just always got to be wary of where the enemy is going to be, or more specifically where his team wants him to be, so that he can actually contribute to the team fight. Barracuda instead heading back to base, and gonna finish up some of the standard itemization, I think, coming out these days. We see the Shifter Shield being built by Barracuda, ability-based Hunter. Scotty going for the more classic Transcendence, but the same idea in both Hunters' minds. A lot of power, a lot of abilities.
Especially considering that Panicat's going to take a while for that physical power to come online. He's very confident that his team has the pressure necessary for him to free farm safely. Jeff has been making these rotations in mid. We see a lot of rotation from Mask in the solo lane, so there's no pressure onto Panicat instead.
Right, I mean, when you're comparing the Transcendence and the Shifter Shield, a lot of people look directly towards the numbers of the power, but really it's about the numbers of the timing when it comes online. As soon as you finish that Shifter Shield, you're ready to go, you're ready to fight. Transcendence, you need to stack it up just a little bit to really make it worth its while.
And not only that, Panicat is thinking in these team fights that he's not even going to need the protections from a Shifter Shield. He just needs the damage. He's going to rely on Verizial forcing the team fight to start things off, and then Benji and PBM being that buffer to just completely protect this backline squishy Scotty.
Right, and Panicat certainly going to be swinging very hard if that's the case. So we'll keep an eye on the Scotty player to make sure and see if things will all go according to plan. 3v3 here in the mid lane, as per usual. Verizial kind of wants to get back to the farm, though. And so that's exactly what he'll do. He'll slink back into the jungle and look for something else.
You always want to try to confuse your opponents in different ways, and just by going inside the jungle, that little small maneuver alone can create a little confusion in the communications, like, all right, Susanoo missing, be careful in the dueling. Little things like that go a long way.
Right, and just that little bit of, we don't know where this player is, dipped in the dueling. And we saw Luminosity respond by bringing their dueling into the jungle. They'll pick up the red buff, but they were also checking only near the Gold Fury, where the Oracle's at. Oracle's about to spawn, so Luminosity going to rotate towards the Gold Fury and actually pull the objective here. Have HP on gold already. The box is down. Nobody can really come in here. Polar Bear Mike showing his face, but that's Luminosity all the way to Business Town. Nice play coming out from LG.
Oh, eUNITED, though, they're not done yet. Benji's here. The beads from Barracuda. The damage has been done from Benji. Mask is having to retreat as well under that tier 2. Baskin could be in a lot of trouble. It gets pulled back in, and Scaredy's going to try to save him.
Verizial tosses out the ultimate as well. Basket goes down for the count as Chaos puts number 3 on the board for eUNITED. Panda answers back by putting number 4 right afterwards. The Gold Series goes the way of Luminosity Gaming, but eUNITED keep up their steam by answering back with a 2-for-nothing team fight in their direction and looking for the other objective, Portal Demon.
Very fortunate timing for eUNITED to be able to find this Portal Demon after this 10 marker. The Gold Fury being started by Luminosity, they calculated the damage very efficiently. They got it just in the nick of time, but Baskin was just caught in no man's land. Couldn't really dash into safety, especially with Verizial just in his face with that speed buff.
Way too fast. And you combine that with the passive that Susanoo has as well.
He just wants to go fast, man.
Gotta go fast.
Always.
Certainly where eUNITED is looking. Want to go fast towards the finish line here. 2,000 gold in the lead. Not quite some of the leads that we've seen earlier on today. Shout out to the 10-minute surrender that was the rival game number 1, but still definitely starting off well.
Well, this is already looking like a stronger eUNITED team compared to last week. Their match against Noble, we kept questioning, was it Noble, was it eUNITED, was it a little bit of both here? Same thing could be said about this set currently for Luminosity. They're kind of dropping the ball in the solo lane here and then the positioning from Baskin, but either way, eUNITED, they're showing that despite their current standings being slowly in the, or slightly in the middle, They are here to play. They're not done yet with their contention to Valencia.
And see, that's really where I was going with in our pregame discussion, is that eUNITED clearly, I mean, just watching 12 minutes of play here, clearly last week was the fluke. I think that this is more true to eUNITED, and Luminosity, they're having some struggles with Scary D here, but, you know, I think this is more representative of the type of challenge that eUNITED are going to bring to teams. Luminosity, look, they're not getting handled. eUNITED isn't the next #1 squad in the world, but they're certainly ready to fight, and I think this is a lot more indicative of what this team can bring in the future than versus what we saw versus Noble.
Just a lot of chaos and havoc coming out of Ariziel, and he's not done yet in the solo lane. Scary D doesn't have teleport for another 40 seconds, and if Ariziel stays here on the right, which he should, considering Gold Fury and Portal Demon's still down, that tier 1 tower should fall.
And that's clearly what they're going to do here. The wave walking right into the tower, and that tier 1 going the way of eUNITED in just a matter of moments. So 500 gold on the side of the red team already, extending their lead again.
Great communication from eUNITED. Benji communicates the fact that, okay, Scary D back to base, his teleport's on cooldown, you make this rotation, this tower's going down, and there's no risk factor here. There's nothing to steal on the opposite side of the map.
That is the biggest deal to me right there with that play. When you see Gold Fury plays, we could respond with a tier 1 tower in the mid lane, or the Portal Demon. When you see Portal Demon plays, you affect the left side, etc. There's just no answer to that clean play by eUNITED.
Still looking for something here out of Luminosity, though. They're struggling slightly. That's not out of the world here. It's only 3,000 of a deficit at the 14-minute mark.
Even still, that's a very nice start for eUNITED, a team that has characters like Benji or Amaterasu and the Soul, who really need to get to that late game and get those items online to do what it is that they do.
That's what Luminosity needs to do. Utilize the long-range artillery coming out of Baskin just from a distance. Look for the poke and reset, because despite the great teamfight presence from eUNITED with PBM playing this Fafnir, they don't really have sustain.
Not at all.
AoE sustain. Like, they might have some self-sustain inside their kit, but that's not going to really do too much compared to the damage that Baskin's going to be dealing at the later stages.
Exactly. Baskin's going to be looking, well, I mean, at the same time, totally, Baskin's going to be looking to just obliterate people. Baskin, Mask, this team is looking for one-shots, where sustain wouldn't even help because you're already dead, right? So Luminosity kind of looking in that direction.
But now it's even going to be more powerful without that. Even Pestilence being built from Scary D to prevent the self-sustain. Benji, whenever he switches those auras, will get some of the sustained chaos. Popping that steroid factor will receive it as well. Not to mention all those coerces being thrown out by PBM.
Yeah, just a lot to deal with on the side of eUNITED. A very nice draft that they've really come together with, and I wonder if we're going to see any itemization as well outside of the relics to really combat what eUNITED have drafted.
It just seems like an eUNITED draft all across the board, honestly. It's not too many teams that can make this kind of a style of rotation here. They can't necessarily execute it the same way that other teams can, but eUNITED, they're very comfortable with all their picks here. Chaos loves this Soul, and Panicat loves these non-mobile hunters here, whether it's the Artemis, whether or not it's the Scotty. He just makes it work.
That was where his initial claim to fame was the blink Artemis, right? Out of nowhere, you just get blinked on and just get smoked by Art. Panicat obviously doesn't have the blink here, but what Panicat does have is the Midgardian Mail. What an interesting choice here. This is going to affect the basic attacks of his opposition, both slowing the attack speed and the movement speed. So what a curious choice for Panicat.
It makes sense because he's going to get dove by Mask and Scary D, whether he wants to or not. It will happen, and this is probably one of the best defensive peeling options. Luminosity, they're going to start it up, and it's already so low.
And it's going to go the way of eUNITED, snatched away, and Panicat takes Jeff along with him and the Gold Fury. Mask going to defend Barracuda as Benji comes around the left side. Right side, different story. Down goes Scary D. Double kill for the Hunter.
Just like that. Not able to secure it. They still find the 2 kills, but this time they steal it away. eUNITED are getting all the objectives this time. They get the Gold Fury. They're going to get this tier 1 mid. They're not done yet. They recognize Barracuda's all the way on the left. They're going to grab this tier 2.
Yeah, looking for the tier 2 on top of it. This is going to be 2,000 gold in total just for the towers, plus the stolen objective, 5,400 in the lead. Barrow will answer back by grabbing a tier 1 tower, but the 500 gold just barely a band-aid over a bullet wound.
It's just not going to be enough to translate it, especially if eUNITED covered their losses by getting this Portal Demon, which outweighs that tier 1 tower slightly. Benji, though, this is the Amaterasu that is a nightmare for so many hunters with that mobility. Still able to get away with a nice little dash and just retreating under the safety of his tier 1 tower.
Yeah, Benji doesn't want to push it too hard, so he'll just push Barra a little bit out.
But going back to what you were talking about this defensive choices from Panicat, not only has he gone for this Guardian Mail, but just now completing this Winged Blade, getting a lot of health here. So he has the physical power from the Transcendence. That's all he really needs. And then he has the attack speed from PBM. He's going to be getting more attack speed from not only the Coerce, but the Shogun's Kusari. That's almost complete here.
Yep.
And as long as he survives, gets that proc from the Winged Blade, he will never die.
I still want to see a Titan's Bane. I want to see some sort of penetration built in. But I do like the fact that he's utilizing his teammates.
And not only that, these two items here are so affordable.
That's the truth.
I think it's $22.50 on Guardian, $18.50 on the Winged Blade. It's just so efficient to surviving these mid-game teamfights.
Fire Giant started. Nice control coming out from Panicat there, setting Jeff Hinla up directly for the stun by Polar Bear Mike. Barracuda on the left side, and Luminosity's presence enough to chase eUNITED off of the Fire Giant.
Very bold and ambitious of a call from eUNITED, more than likely being called from Verizil. We always talk about the playmakers from eUNITED and where do their calls come from, but honestly, Verizil is the one that likes to go for these risky plays. All 5 members up from Luminosity, but with this 7,000 gold lead and even more experience to follow, they're not afraid of anything.
eUNITED starting the Fire Giant as one more time. 50% on the objective. Full command as the ultimate from Verizil comes out. That's going to be a successful steal by Luminosity. They get the Fire Daddy, and they're looking for the team fight after it.
Barracuda, though, he's solo. He has to retreat. Dharmic Pillar's coming out. PBM! He's in trouble. He's getting taken out.
Baskin gets another one. Pandacat answers back, taking down Scary D, but it's a 2-for-1 thus far. Mask still on the chase. Luminosity, the rest of the team, not along with him so far. Baskin sends out a couple of pot shots, but the steal for Fire Giant, good enough. LG still down 6K, Toli, but what does this Fire Giant mean for the future?
This means that they're going to be melting these towers, getting 500. They need this 1,500 in the tier 2. If they can find the picks, they can grab it. It's very important for Verizil with Panda and Benji to keep this up. And Luminosity, they're not feeling confident to aggress without any minions.
A lot of defensive prowess there. You have Benji and Verizil, full health Verizil there available, and also the surprisingly tanky Pandacat.
You're just not going to be taking him out anytime soon. And if you're focusing all your damage onto Pandacat during that tier 2 tower siege, that means you're not dealing damage to the tower, which means the tower is just going to be melting you in return.
Well, here's the problem. Isn't his defensive build going to hurt his damage, Anatoly?
Sure, it might hurt his damage, but like I said before, all the attack speed from PBM just goes and gets out everything that he really needs to.
He's number 1 in the player damage. I was being funny.
Oh, okay. I see where you were going with that one.
I was being funny. But yeah, building that Shoguns, that's what that last item is likely going to be from PBM. Amping his hunter up by 15%.
Not only that, like, you have just so much damage here from the base damage of the Caldeer. The doggo himself is able to pump out a lot, which helps out Scotty. She doesn't really need this much power.
And he's building into the Titan's Bane. Love it.
He's good. He's Gucci. Love it.
Really, really enjoying this build out of Pandacat. 21 minutes in, eUNITED leading by a lot. 7-2 read the kills. And as far as the gold is concerned, also a fair amount, about 5,000. But Luminosity, with the wind in their sails, just recently snatching the Fire Giant away, now have control of the left side, looking for the Gold Fury, or the team fight is eUNITED via positioning. But as I said, LG with the Fire Giant, nothing that eUNITED can really sneeze at.
I mean, it's still around their waists for another minute and a half. The question is eUNITED going to stall this one out, or are they going to keep trying to go for a Gold Fury around 50% health? Jeff Finley going to get stunned out. Benji going in. The girdle means go.
And there's going to be the fight. Benji on the right side, getting attacked by the bat twice. And Polar Bear Mike eats one of the shots as well. Triple knock-up coming up from Verizil. Pandacat takes advantage and takes out the support. Chaos does the same, taking out the jungler. spectacular. Chaos and Benji very low, but Baskin's lower. Doubleon for the mid lane from Long Island as Panda Cat picks up another one. 6-0-2. It's a 4-for-1 trade, all in the direction of eUNITED.
Benji barely surviving that one at the tail end. Scary D just did not have the necessary damage. Level 19 Amaterasu, and just like that, Verizial ripping through the team fight with his ultimate, setting up Chaos beautifully despite being the sacrificial lamb. As long as Panda Cat is up, these towers are going down.
What just a fantastic game out of Verizial, and this is why I tell people you have to include the last number in the slash line. People love to say you went 0-0, look at you. You got to include the 10 assists that Verizial had. That team fight brought to you by Verizial 1. If he's not there, if he's anybody else, eUNITED does not get 4 kills plus a Gold Fury plus a Portal Demon at all. Wonderful, just an amazing ultimate. Verizial sets his entire team up for this entire sequence, doubling their lead, previously 5K, now 10K, taking the wind out of the sails of Luminosity. All in one ultimate.
He's been all over the place, and the prime beneficiary has been Benji. They both have 10 kill participations out of the 11 from eUNITED, and Benji did a great job absorbing a lot of the abilities coming out of Luminosity, whereas Verizial was patiently waiting throughout that Typhoon in the middle of the team fight to allow Chaos to end it. But we can't discredit how Benji started it off by baiting out so many cooldowns on the right.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what Benji's looking for. I mean, look at his items. He's got a ton of CDR, but he's got the Urchin, which means please dive me because I'm very tanky and I want your stacks. And he's got the Genji's Guard, which means please dive me because I want my abilities back. eUNITED looking to use those abilities. Scary D already down to half HP. Another great knockup from Verizial, but this time Mask fighting back almost brings the Susano to his knees, and Luminosity find a good defensive set.
Girdle is going to be popped by Jetfilla, but everyone from Luminosity's at half health. They still want to fight this because the fact that Verizial was poked out. Nice stun from Baskin, but he's not going to follow up here. He doesn't have the ultimate.
This is LG's spot to turn it around, but the damage out of eUNITED too strong. Their ultimates weren't successful, but the second round of basic abilities are. Chaos finds kill number 4. Scary D likely to fall here if anyone can find the hit, and it'll be Panda Cat 2 for the Ukrainian, and Barracuda gonna fall down, make that 3. Rolling trips all the way to the base is eUNITED. 16 kills to Luminosity's 3.
And that gives Benji all 10 stacks of his Height of the Urchin, and like that, the mobility that this Amaterasu provides for eUNITED is able to not only disengage when things get a little thick and hairy, but they're able to clean everybody from Luminosity up.
That was just, you highlighted that very well about what Benji did. eUNITED tossed all the ultimates out, and Luminosity kind of did as well, and nothing happened. So eUNITED run away, they go, oops, we made a mistake. And then as soon as everybody's cooldowns are back up, they surge forward, push Luminosity down, and open the window for the Fire Giant. eUNITED picking up one more time, 25 minutes in, folks. And eUNITED leading Luminosity by over 10 grand, almost 15.
And with this Fire Giant for 5 or 4 more minutes around their waist here, this is going to be looking very grim for Luminosity, despite if you're losing team fights outside of your Phoenixes already by such a great margin with the Fire Giant for eUNITED, you're looking for a miracle here out of the blue squad.
Player damage on the Scotty. The defensively built Scotty. Again, can't bring it up enough. Using his teammates' prowess, the Shogun's Kursari, the built-in coerce attack speed from Polar Bear Mike, allowing him to go a little bit more tanky. That's why he finds himself with a big old 0 in the deaths column.
He just does having no fear at all. We talked about the frontline presence from eUNITED. PBM, Fafnir, Benji, Amaterasu, Verizial doing things, throwing the Typhoons, basically. That's all he needs to do. He throws out those Typhoons, and then Panda Cat is just casually chucking that Ice Spear and telling his doggo to go sick him.
That's Scylla. The face that Totally just gave me is pretty much like he wants to quit right now. eUNITED showing no signs of doing any such thing. Barreling down the left-hand side. Polar Bear Mike leading the charge, getting ready. This could be the last push. Almost, what is this? Almost 20,000 gold in the lead, plus a Fire Giant buff. Luminosity on their last legs here, Anatoly.
Girdle is being popped, but it doesn't matter. Jeff Finley gets
already done.
Barracuda trying to retreat, but PBM says, get back here.
And Verizio says, game. Benji gets the kill. Verizio gets the kill right before it, setting everybody up. Those are his first 2 kills of the game, folks. And he's my player of the game, setting his entire team up.
Oh, Baskin.
No way.
Baskin responds with 2, but it's just not enough. 4 members dead. It's all up to Mass to hold on against 3 members with Fire Giant from eUNITED.
Nice try out of Baskin, but unfortunately far too little and far too late. The last objective is the Titan. Mask doing what he can, but Verizio puts a stop to the bat, and the Titan will fall down. Blackjack 21, eUNITED to Luminosity's 5. They take it in 20.